There you go. Now let's see. Go ahead and play. We're playing exercise number 1.
On page 5.
Page 5, exercise number 1. Take a look at my left hand, Sherry. Take a look at my left hand. You see how the thumb is traveling? And the fingers are traveling. See how that looks? We're looking for this. What the grip looks like? What does yours look like? Okay. My finger is just slightly crooked, my middle finger. Kind of hanging out, but I don't have it clamped down on the stick. That's natural. So what we're looking to do, and this is, you know, Richard Martinez's interpretation, because my tendency was I'd like to throw my fingers off. I used to pump my, I've gone through all different phases of misunderstanding. I've pumped my arm. I've tried to, that bend that happens that Murray talked about, see, I would exaggerate it. It's not as big as you think, all these little things. Really, to get that wrist to turn, what we're thinking of is a rotation. We really just want to, Richard Wilson would sometimes grab you by this finger and do this. Richard Martinez and he hates metaphors, but mentions that it's like, could be like turning a door handle. Richard Wilson used to say it's like a screwdriver. Right? What does that really mean? Really what we're doing is utilizing the lever system. Okay. Right now, aside from the grip, which is actually very simple, so let's just get past that, so that we can focus on just turning, is we're just going to hold our hand out. This is what Richard Martinez is. You just hold your hand out and you just close the hand around the stick. See, you just lay the hand and lay the stick in the hand. There's not a lot of squiggling and worming around. Like Dick would say, what are you, a spider? You simply close the hand around the stick very gently. Boom, there. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find this rotation. And you do nothing. There's nothing to do, but guide that stick to the surface in a very straight line. There's some kind of trajectory that's occurring. And it goes straight down to the surface. Now, let's identify all the parts, because this is really important. Tell me about, describe the parts of a lever system to me as it pertains to the traditional grip. You need to speak up a little because of our connection, I guess, today. I'm not hearing you. Where'd you go? Not you. There you are.
Fulcrum is here.
Where's here?
The finger and thumb. The crotch of the finger and thumb.
Right. It's right in here, right? It's in the crotch here, which is between the thumb and the first finger. It's right in there. Okay? That's the fulcrum. Okay, keep going.
Well, the reverse is here.
Yes. Yeah, when you do that, let me stop you. When you do that, you don't move your whole hand. If you want to feel the stick ability to move with this grip, there's movement. You don't need to move your hand all over the place. There's some flexibility there. Okay. Okay. We have the fulcrum and we have the lever. Keep going.
Here.
Well, okay. Okay. So what we're doing is we've got a fulcrum, and the thumb is lying down, firm, comfortable, and constant. And then we have what is force, or moment of force, where the force is first applied to the lever arm. We also have resistance. With both sides of the fulcrum. Okay. Now, it's really important to recognize the importance of the thumb. Okay. Because it's quite possible that although the first finger would be considered in this technique the guide, that we don't start to try to manipulate with it. Really, the force is coming from, I believe, the thumb. And so that means we really need to understand this thumb. You see? It's not a finger thing. So we want to let that stick lie in the fulcrum. We know that there is a guide, and as Richard Wilson would describe it, the first finger lies on the stick like a feather glued to it. Now, what does that mean? It took me a long time to understand what that means. But those were the words that he thought best described what was in his mind, what he was feeling. Okay. You'll notice also that the stick rests on the fourth. So we have, how many points of contact? We have the fulcrum, we have the thumb, which is moment of force. We have the fourth finger, on which the lever arm rests. Okay. So now what we want to do is, with that grip in mind, with the understanding of all the parts of the lever system, we now simply want to rotate our wrist. Okay. So we're just going to put that in action or into motion by turning our wrists and doing nothing, leaving everything alone as much as possible. Very comfortable, relaxed turn. And for all intents and purposes, it just seems to be a rotation. And the less I do, the better it feels. Now, we're not really taking advantage of the fulcrum in the hand yet, although it's always there. The entire lever system is there. Force to resistance. Resistance in this case could be the stick that you're applying force to. It's resisting. Right now, it's not rocking over the fulcrum like a teeter-totter, like a first-class lever. So that at some point, the side of the fulcrum becomes resistance, right? But so what we're doing right now is really just recognizing what this technique is. It really is all about it. Everyone talks about fulcrum, right? And that's true. But the fulcrum is part of a bigger system. And that's not such a big system. It's actually what is known as a simple machine. Okay? Anything that changes direction of force. A handful of them, a few more than that perhaps. Okay? So we're just going to get the feeling of this. So go ahead and do that one more time. Put the metronome on at 72. And let me hear it. The first exercise of stick control, only right now we're leading left. We'll be playing number 2 and leaving the right out. I just want to see the left. So you can leave the right out. No fun. Actually, put it down. It shouldn't be in your consciousness at all. Even if you're holding it, somehow your body's thinking about it, recognizing it. So go ahead and put the right stick down. Okay, can you give me a side profile of that? Can you turn so that, what would that be? That would be a right profile so that I can see the inner part of the hand. I want to see the inner part of the hand, so now you have to turn the other way. Okay. You have an entirely new diorama. Now go ahead and play. Now, you'll notice that the contour of our thumbs are different. Mine looks like this. I don't know what you're doing. And this is what I noticed, Sherry, when I was working with you on drum set last time. And that's not what we were talking about, hands, technique. So I didn't get into it. But we want to have the ability to play on the drum set in a way that's very relaxed, very efficient. So I think that what you're doing with your thumb is getting in the way of your efficiency. So let's just take a look at it. Here, just do this for me. Hold your fingers out like mine. Don't cramp them in. I guess you could. I'm just doing this. Here, let's do it now. Let's do it this way. Dick Wilson would say we're at a little bit different angle, so it's not entirely fair, but it's okay. Okay, so when I say angle, I meant the camera angle. Right. So I want you down unparalleled to the surface. Okay, so Dick Wilson would have me do this. He would have me keep the hand straight and get that stick to run parallel to the floor. Right? And then he would have you make a grip around it. See, that's more of what the thumb should look like. think it looks a little different. It's a little hard to tell with this angle. But what we don't want to do, good, that looks better. Yeah, there you go. What we don't want to do is clamp down on it thusly. Because, let's see, if you do that, well, it spoils the fulcrum. I can tell that. I can see that. It moves the fulcrum to another place. Seems to affect the stick just comfortably lying in the hand. If I do with my thumb, suddenly the top of my thumb is pushing. You can't play. You can find a way to play it this way, but I can feel my thumb push my first finger, and it's somehow changed. It seems to cramp up the fulcrum. It's putting pressure in places that it doesn't need to be. So what we're doing is letting it lie down, and you're going to turn, or I should say rotate. Come on up in volume for me. What does that look like? Can you do this? Do it again. Go from pianissimo to louder. Okay, so now let's take a look at it in the right. Why don't we come back into our original angle? Okay, now once again we're going to just look at the grip itself. Look at this simple machine. Okay, I want you to describe the parts of the palm down grip as it relates to the lever system. Okay, but right now I'm talking about the grip, but that's true. Okay. Okay, so you have a fulcrum in the first knuckle of the middle finger. Right? And then we're going to apply force to resistance. So there's that moment of force. Where would that be in the script? I don't know what your point. It's as though you were writing this in a book. You can't just, unless you had a drawing, you can't just point to things. I want you to say it. Now you're holding your elbow out, so just relax your arm. We're just looking at the grip. Okay, so where's the moment of force?
Front of the fulcrum.
Where? No, the moment, I believe the moment of force, and as described by Richard Martinez, is first finger and thumb. It's the guide. You see? It's important. If we're using the lever system to help us achieve a certain goal, an end, by this technique, and we're not recognizing where all the parts are, we're not helping ourselves. So there is a fulcrum, first knuckle, middle finger, and then you have the guide, you have the lever arm, right? You have the weight of the stick that could be considered resistance if you're just turning your wrist. We have what would be a teeter-totter, so there's something going on the other side of the fulcrum as well. Okay, so what we're doing is recognizing all the parts. So we're going to not imagine, but actually recognize. When an engineer builds a bridge, there's an actual moment of force. It's in the blueprints, and they have to build it. You know, the drawbridge. Okay, so go ahead and turn your wrist playing at 72, as though you were playing one hand of the first exercise in stick control. Turn a little higher for me. I lift it up, bring it back down. I turn up and down, 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 up and down. Go ahead and turn higher for me. Does it work here? Come on, turn up, turn up. Turning up my glasses. Mine looks like that when I get to the top. That high turn. Okay? Still have a guide, still have a fulcrum, right? We don't want to do much. The hand has opened up a little bit. Okay? That's not us opening the hand, that's the hand opening naturally. We simply take the grip that I described, and we can play from, here it is from parallel. Okay. Turning down every time. Down, 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 down. Then we can start to turn higher if we want. We can turn higher and higher. I'm just going to leave the system alone. Leave the arm alone. Get louder and louder. It has a nice trajectory. It has a very straight trajectory. So from stick control territory, we're in here, right? Yeah, mine is nice and smooth. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Here, it feels, I'm turning so high, it feels more bouncy. And it's still up, down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, 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 down, down, up, 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 down. Can I bring the volume down? You didn't do that smoothly. Can you do more quietly? Okay, bring that up. Leave it alone, bring it up. Bring it up. You're stopping out. You want to be able to bring it up. We haven't gone to arms and shoulders. You want to close the back fingers. It's really a 3-finger grip. Let the other fingers hang out. Come on, back down. Come on down. See, okay, you see, there's a certain place where something went bop, 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 bop. So smooth. Right there. Right there. You can see you're searching, right? Kind of searching. Okay, so we're going to create an exercise where we're going to play with dynamics. Right now, what we're going to do is we're going to get back to how this started, which was the playing of stick control exercise number 1. Okay, so what we're doing with both grips is thinking about the lever system, right? As brilliantly conceived by Richard Martinez, who I was mentioning something Jack Verga said about how beautiful Richard Wilson's fulcrum was, and Richard Googled it immediately and came up with, says like, wow, there's like a whole lever system. That's really what this is, okay? And it's true, if you believe it. So it can be very helpful to understand all the parts of the system as it pertains to each grip. Unfortunately for us, we have to think of twice as many parts, but 8 parts. Fulcrum has, lever system has 4 parts. So now we got 8, but it's the joy of what we do. You know, I found that intriguing. Now what we're going to do is put that into motion. Let's hear you play stick control. We're going to be thinking about all those things. We're not going to be clamping the thumb down. We're going to be rotating. We're going to try to maintain a kind of smooth motion and a very straight up and down trajectory in both grips. I swear your thumb is beginning to go back to its old thing. Yeah, you see, I think that's better shared. Move to your right just ever so slightly for me, okay? Move to the right. Yeah, I mean, move your whole kit, I mean a ½ inch, so that I can get all of your thumb. You're gonna have to move your chair.
I can't picture, so I gotta move the stand.
Or the camera. Right. Okay, better. There. See what my thumb looks like? Now, right now, I could actually, hey, what a good looking flyer. I found a way to incorporate some of the advertising in my what Dick would say, and it's true, is you can you should be able to slide a piece of paper in there. See? No, you no longer can slide a piece of paper. As soon as you do that, it's over. You've got some other grip going on. There are techniques to play that way. You know, there are a bunch of different techniques.
What's the Highland thing? Stick or stick?
Go ahead and tell me about the Highland thing.
I show you a stick. You got a second?
Well, I didn't want to break up the flow. Can you just show me the basic technique with any? Okay.
Because I think making the thickness of the stick makes how they do it. It's much bigger handles.
Glad you showed us that.
And so that tends to push this part out to the second one.
The thumb goes, the stick goes.
From all kinds of knuckle here.
So you curve your thumb in?
Yeah,
that's what you're doing, right? That's, yeah. So what we're doing is I'm doing another technique. But that's not this technique.
No, that's a problem because I do a lot of work, which is great. It forces me to practice. But then, you know, this creeps over.
It's really neat to look at other techniques and be familiar with them. But what we're doing is very specific, and it's not that. Okay?
Maybe I should learn both, and then I'd have one for one and one for the other.
you should learn all the techniques, get an understanding as to why certain techniques are used. The Moeller technique had to do with, they were playing on big field drums with sticks bigger than that. And there was no time for delicacy. They were whacking on wet calfskin heads in the field, right? So they were doing this, Sherry. They were throwing this big stick down on a big wet of calfskin. Okay, so what we're doing is this technique. Let's stay on course now, okay? So we're going to learn to turn. We've got a 90-degree angle, by the way. We're at the floor. Arms are hanging loosely. We bring them up. This is from where we play. And then we turn. And that can turn into doubles. First, we want to get the singles right, or they'll never turn into doubles in the way that I just described. Is your metronome on? Metronome on. Here's the feeling I'm getting from your. Can you turn the metronome off for a sec? What I think is happening is, if you were to clutch the stick in the right and turn, it has this quality, and that's what I'm seeing in your playing. I'm not sure exactly what you're doing, but just try that for a second. Try doing this. That seems to kind of be how it's moving. It almost, from a distance, you say, "Yeah, it looks right." It's not. We're doing this. Here's the grip. And then see, we're turning. It doesn't look. Watch. Look at the character of the motion. Okay, just watch for a second. This as opposed to this. It's as if you're trying to control it. Total control with no freedom. Some kind of interesting contradiction there. The control will come from giving the stick freedom, not trying to control. See, I'm not kind of directing it down. Anytime you could go down as slow as you want. I lift it up and it comes down. I lift it up. Got more of this quality. We talked about that. Yes, there's a moment, if it seems to me, at this tempo, and at this volume, meaning we're turning on this high. Murray didn't like to use measurements in terms of by way of inches. Thought that was too core-like, and yet he did talk about the correlation between volume and stick turn height. Okay, so we're doing this, right? See, I'm lifting it up. Every time I get to the surface, I can feel it. Just after I get to the surface, it bumps into my palm. Here, watch. Probably should have had you turn around and give me a left profile before I had you get back to playing with the stick control, but watch. See that? Can you see it banging into my palm? See? Now, see the butt end has some freedom. I'm not playing like this. Stick has no tone. death grip. Well, you can hear the tone change, right? Listen. Just listen for a second. Listen. Not that sound, this sound. Much different sound. Right? And we can turn that higher and higher. At this volume, I still feel like there's a moment to wait at the surface. It feels different at this speed. But it always comes back to this. Okay? So we want to recognize some of those things I just described. Let's see it. Let's hear it. You can tell by the sound. That's why Dick could teach you over the phone. So can Richard Martinez. Better. Better. Feel it? There's some freedom now. Okay, put that with the other hand. Watch your thumb in the left. Watch your thumb in the left. You want to clutch with the back fingers in the right. Maybe that's what. There's the fulcrum. Although we're not really allowing this to rock over it for rebounds, but there's a fulcrum. There's a guide. We're applying the force of the lever arm, turning our wrist. Just turn this side for me. Let's keep our turns. Let's decide how high we're going to turn. For stick control, I'm turning this high. Now look at my thumb in the left. Look at my thumb, how my thumb's moving and how yours is moving. Look, it's traveling a path every time. It seems to travel this elliptical path. So maybe to really feel, maybe what we need to do is now get our head out of the book with regards to playing stick control in a formal way. And turn a little higher so we can really engage more of, you're not, I guess you are engaging more of this system. We turn high enough, it starts to want to pass. So let's really turn high, we can get that left to look like more like this. See? It's just this. Now remember, if we're only turning this side, you know, turn the metronome down, put it at 60. Let's give you a little more time to think. Now, for turning this side, Sherry, the hand doesn't feel very much, just like in the right. The higher we turn, the more it seems to affect how the hand wants to open. Well, I'm turning at this height. I'm not feeling as much of this. Now, that only happens because there's a stick in my hand. I'm mimicking what happens when you have a stick in your hand. As I'm turning down here, I'm feeling this. I'm feeling this. As it turns higher and higher, my hand starts to be open more and more. There seems to be more of that going on. but it's very free. I still feel like essentially you're just clutching the stick and moving. But I want there to be, see it coming away from the fourth. See it coming away from the fourth every time I go up at that height. Now turn here. Now turn here. Now I don't feel it coming away from the fourth as I go up. Do you? As I turn higher, now I'm starting to feel it come away from the fourth. It's more free now. Now it's more free. That's freedom. You don't hold it with a death grip and move it down. You lift the stick, the fingers are relaxed enough so that the stick can move. As we come down, there, better. Come down more, come down in volume more. Watch your thumb. Remember, it swivels in the way that I described. See how the thumb looks? Looks like this. No, but we're down here now. Remember where we feel it on the fourth most of the time? No, right here. Look, up, down, up, down, up, down. I don't control it. I've thrown it up in the air. It's like I've thrown something up in the air. Every time there's at this speed and volume, it waits for a minute. There's a momentary rest. See? And then I have to lift it back up. I have to lift it up. Here, slow it down, half that speed. Turn size on. I'm at about a 3-inch turn, 2.5. And I want you to get to the floor when you land. I don't want it at this angle. It's here. And then you lift it up from here. It comes down. Show me the floor. That's where you're not coming down to. There. Right. Just turn. Right. There's no need to turn until you're ready to make another stroke. But don't lose the floor. You're slowly cutting off the amount of radius that the stick has to travel. Every time you stop higher and higher. Keep turning to the same height, but stop higher and higher. Now you're only getting a tiny turn. You do that entire turn. It's not forced. You lift it up, and the wrist rotates. Always have to go back to the floor. You don't want to. Maybe your butt end's a little too low. That's where it comes down to. There. There. There you go. There you go. See how your thumb is making that little kind of elliptical motion? Now we're going to turn a little higher. Be free. Let's start to move your fingers. Let's turn higher and higher. Always get to the floor. You already lost your floor. There you go. Yeah, change the sound. It sounds more solid. There you go. There you go. Put the right hand with it now. Right at that height. No, stop. Your left is good now, and your right, it's not moving. I can see there's no freedom. You both have to come down to the floor every time. Rethink your grip. Fulcrum and guide in the right. There you go. Better. So now we're playing, now the metronome is a quarter note, and we're playing eighth notes, right? What if we went back to, we're at 60, right? What if we went back to turning our wrists here? No, right here, look. Sherry, I see you're not at the floor on the left. You're just going to this kind of thing. Watch, this is what your sticks look like to me. When you watch this back, you can be the decider. Let's kind of, how are you doing that? Again, it's hard to copy. What I want to see is not this. But it never seems to kind of come to the floor. Touching it and waving it, the sticks in the air. No, we have to be aware of the surface. We have to recognize it as well. And what we do is we have a starting position, and we come up and we get this. It doesn't look like this. So don't turn quite so high in the left. It's just coming away from the fourth a little. It's just coming away from the fourth a little. Thumb is lying down. Every time I get to the surface, it's resting on the fourth. I lift it back up. Kind of at this height of a turn, it kind of comes away from the fourth. Let the stick be free to the right. Don't let the back fingers hang you up. Look, I can do it without the back fingers. We just don't want to hold them out uncomfortably. Just hang out. We lift it up, and it comes down. Up to come down, up to come down, up to come down, up to come down. And so we're getting relax your baby finger, relax your right arm. It's just this. It's just this. The stick can have a moment at the surface to relax. There's a moment. Rest. It's resting. Now. Doesn't need to do anything for a minute. If I go half that speed, you can really see it. Watch. Right here. There you go. Okay. Keep it going. How about the Murray exercise here? We're in single place. Let's do this. Trying to capture the efficiency of having the proper grip and a good wrist turn, which means the arms are relaxed, you're not pumping with your arms, and then we can actually motivate an upstroke to a downstroke. So as we get our wrist turn together, now we're going to incorporate playing the Murray exercise. I think that's a good thing for you right now. So let's put the metronome, keep the metronome at 60. You go ahead and play. Keep all the things that I told you in mind. See, it's much more relaxed now. Well, look at your left. Stop at the floor. There's always a chance to, at this volume and speed, there seems to be momentary resting place. There you go. Nice and sound and smooth, up to come down. Not trying to control the stick. Not move it away. Okay, for an exercise, go ahead and play the first accent of the first of every 4 notes is an accent with an upstroke preceding it. Left is already, I can just see it doesn't want to come to the floor and wait. Doesn't mean you turn less high, it means you actually fully have to rotate. Now again, I'm not sure I'm digging your throat. Remember, a lot of this stuff is built in because you're kind of like a badass pipe, right? That was your world. And so, in a sense, we're undoing some of that, although I'm sure there are many aspects of that drumming that lend themselves to what we're doing. So, yeah, when we're just turning like this, right, for a single, well, what we're going to do is make a little throw. And I'm not sure, I felt like that, I'm not quite something like that, maybe? Well, that's not what we want. We want to go from this wrist turn. Look at that. See how it looks? It doesn't look like my elbow is doing this. Although the elbow's moving, it's not molar. Not a modified molar. It's not molar. It's not what we're doing. We're doing this. Don't slam. You don't have to slam. See, this is really going to affect how you play drums. You don't need to slam, and you don't want to send that stick flying up because now it's got its momentum going in the other direction and can't catch up so that it comes down with the proper timing. See, guide is in place, fulcrum is in place, back 2 fingers are relaxed, and all you're doing is bending forward a little bit, completing this upward direction. Completing the upward motion of the forearm. We want to slam on the way down. See, the down is for free. Down is for down. It almost feels really easy. Watch, 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 watch. I'm just turning and letting the whole thing collapse. Come on up, turn and let it collapse. Yeah, just let it fall. As you turn upward, let the whole thing collapse on itself. Better. You don't have to rush and force the down. It's natural. You get the power by not forcing. There. Better. It's still free. It's want to land dead in the center. Always comes to the floor. There. It's not as forced. It's more relaxed. Okay? Trying to play smooth drum set eventually, taking this to the drums. We don't want to go swack, swack. That's not what we're doing. There, just a little motion. Really just a wrist turn. Nice and easy. There you go. There you go. That'll help your time as you're playing on your next gig, called upon to play 8th notes on the hi-hat. Okay, so right away that translates to the drums. Okay, now on the left, let's see you lead with the left. I've lost sound. Why did I lose sound? Now you want to keep the right starting to go back into this old thing where it's not really free. Stops at the ground in the right, and then you lift it back up. It comes into your palm. Remember all that stuff? See what it looks like? See what it looks like? It's just this. See how nice and easy it is? I don't have to slam. Got all the weight of my arm coming down. And all the torque that runs out to the tip of the stick, all helping me so that I don't have to slam. Remember all the parts of your left grip. No, lost your left bead at the floor. Look, it comes to the floor. The floor. There. That's a big difference. When you listen back, you'll hear how much more professional and solid that sounds. It sounds like you mean to hit the drum at that particular moment in time with that velocity so that you achieve pock. You're getting right down. That's good. The right just turns and stays more free. More free. How tight do you have to be? From the left or in the right. You're always at the floor. See, now you're just moving around. What is this? What is this? This fixed point in the universe. You see? You're moving around a fixed point in the universe. You always come to the floor. Right here, around a fixed point. Okay? We're moving like this. We always come to the floor, the floor, the floor, the floor. And we can move like this, see? Up and down, up and down, up and down. Floor, 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 throw, throw. But we always come back to the floor. You continually stop. It's as if it's not as important to you as it really should be. Yes. You look more like, when you see Vinny, and he's like right here. Everything. Remember I mentioned how flat it looks as you get it? It's another Richard Martinez. Look how flat it looks, because we're at the floor. We're turning at the floor. Turning at the floor. Okay. So you're always here, so that you always know where you are. Remember, if you're going up this much, you don't suddenly throw it up. Everything's in proportion. There's proportion to that throw. If I'm only coming up this much, that's how much I'm going to turn. And it's nice and easy. Right there on your left. Now you're leading with your elbow in the right. And you're slam. Left is really good. Don't slam in the right. Don't come up nice and easy and only this high and then throw the bead away. We're down is where we go. That's Richard Wilson. You got to do this on the right. Now you got to do this. And then down is where we go in a gentle fashion, and all that weight comes back down to the there. See, so you can feel how that will, because of your correct grip. Don't keep doing that. I'm going to show you one last thing, but we're not going to get into it this lesson. Just keep doing that. No, lead with your wrist in the right. Don't leave it. Use it. Nice and easy. Easy. Now this time, just let it bounce multiple times in the right. You see? Do it in the left with that grip, but moving like that. There. See how free everything is? Now the rebounds are available. And next lesson, we're going to tap into that. But until you get this, and it seems like nothing, it's a really big thing. Because it leads you to being able to get multiple rebounds. The correct grip and the understanding of how the lever system works in terms of this simple machine of this grip comes into play as we make motions. All these pieces have to fit together so that ultimately, as Richard Wilson says, you get twice the speed with half the effort. Kind of catchy, right? Good job. Very good job, Sherry.